So I have a couple friends here, and I think it was an open drop-in for others around from Limicon and James and Victor. I also have seen several other calls from Limicon, and I know Jane actually has also signed up for it, Pray Your Life, and so there's some more contact points in it. And I
He's much
found,
nicer than I am.
yeah, I, I've been really relishing how people who are more nice will select for other people who are more straight to the point or acid bath and the other way around. And I think it's a great dynamic. I hear like good cop, bad cop type energy in there. And I have it that Kraye hold a lot of like bad cop or like really clarifying energy cop, basically, to a lot of what I make up is like green, mimi, more Limicon flavor. It's a bell curve uh, caricature of my model of many people who attend something like Limicon. And I'd like people to, in my personal bias, cut more through their stuff such that they can be serving from a fuller cup. And I've seen, honestly, when I look at both my see Victor and James here, I don't actually have that with them, but I've seen a lot of people who have still some like money stories or money challenge things. Some other context, I think that James, no, I ran several other sessions at LunaCon for that was similar to Cray, what you do on Hangs, and people loved it. And they were interested in more and more flavors of it. So I mentioned that they could like take a look at this one and maybe join for next week as well. So that's some context here. And I'd love to just open up the floor to just be an inquiry together to notice and to get present to your style and how that overlap may play with Lumicon type attendees. I see James, I don't know as much about Victor yet, but I see James really like being a beacon for heralding Lumicon type work in the world and higher tiers on the spiral. So that's some also looser context. All right. I'm interested, James, what appealed to you because you're reacting. What had you want to come today?
Hmm. Curiosity and open-mindedness, I suppose.
Is there a particular set of lines that was appealing to you or that stood out to you when you were reading the
Uh,
content?
it's what it's kind of the allergy actually type reaction that brings me here. Of like, I don't like this. I don't like what I saw. I don't like the way this is described. That sounds interesting. Maybe I'll come check it out. Uh, I like circling. I do circling. So
Mm.
that's the kind of maybe like frame that I'm coming from and going, oh, okay, interesting.
Yeah, I described Cray as really good at taking our idols and smashing them. And I've, yeah,
Such a
encountered Cray across many different circling platforms specifically. And that was some of the background.
Hmm.
So you said the allergy part appealed to you. So intentionally exposing yourself to something that you have like an allergic reaction to is something that's like a part of the practice or something you're interested in.
Yeah, I'd say it's feels edgy in a growth edge type sense. Sure.
Yeah.
Oh, I hope you don't do it with peanuts also.
Yeah.
Are you a counterphobic six by any chance, James?
I'm sorry, a what?
It's an Enneagram. It's the Enneagram map. There's a type that's called a counterphobic six, which
Counterphobic. Ah,
so they
okay.
like things that are scary or allergic or that they're being told not to do because it's dangerous or you might feel bad.
Right. Probably not.
Uh,
Although that's maybe an element of the attraction of circling for me, is some of that. But in general, no, I'd say maybe it's more the spirit of Limicon
mm.
working in me of like, oh, there's a bunch of different folks from a bunch of different things coming together, and I've learned some stuff about things that I don't really know much about so far. So sort of continuing the trend here today.
Mm. You're muted, Alton.
Interesting. I'm trying on what type of experience James could have here in connection with you. I could facilitate that. I'd be like, wow, I was so like initially uncomfortable and I emerged with something so much more and that was so worth it. And I don't have a felt sense of James' meaning makers other than through his very well polished graph sheets and incredibly thoughtful questions that he's compiled was what I've seen in one of the sessions.
You look very competent.
Okay.
I make up, James, that you well, yeah. What's the motivating thing to have you here? Because now I make up that like you seem less open.
Hmm. Less open.
I have
Right.
experiences.
Yeah. I suppose I'm feeling somewhat guarded of like, hmm, maybe there's going to be some trap that's about to be sprung. It's kind of, the sense of it.
Wouldn't that be wonderful, though?
Uh, could be.
Wouldn't it be wonderful to actually have a trap that caught you? Because all the other ones just don't work anymore. And now, if you could find a trap that really got you good, that would just open up so much. I'm really taken with Victor's outer awareness. I've been distracted. It's very
His
nice stuff.
fabulous.
I don't his outerwear, the jacket he's wearing.
Hmm. Oh, cool.
And I knew there was a child
Thank
in
you for
the
noticing.
car with him, so
And a
I didn't
puppy.
want any. And a puppy. Well, I don't care about the puppy. Puppies like me.
You don't care about that which likes you?
Yeah, puppies like me. They don't care what I talk about.
James, what flavor of circling are you into?
I could very well go on. I'm going to just go off the video so as not to be so distracting. My apologies.
Oh, no, I like being distracted. Jesus. I got the wave I can look at, or I can watch Victor walking into his house. Hopefully, there are things there that he doesn't want anybody to see. And oops, we saw them.
Oh, you're muted, Victor.
Leather chair, so he's not vegan.
Yeah, it's a nice one. I got it in Berlin. It's like a 1970s like IKEA kind of a thing.
Not a lot on his walls. He's got multiple layers. He dresses for warmth. Doesn't tuck in his shirt.
And for coziness too. I'm going to switch on over to the laptop. I will meet you there.
I'll be here.
But earlier I asked James what flavor of circling you're into, with an interest in like acting or at those other levels or layers.
I'll maybe I'll say house style of my own flavor.
Hmm.
Hmm. I could
So
try to get intellectual about the three different main schools and blah blah, which ones are, affected more, but I don't know. I've been interested in simplifying it and making it more adoptable for newcomers to practice and kind of breaking it down to elements and putting it back together.
Is anybody doing anything with circling cross culturally, like going to cultures that don't have it? Like actually going to Asia or sub-Saharan Africa or something? Or
I don't know.
what? I thought I was doing so by bringing the Circling Institute to Google, where I experienced it's incredibly technical or heady and less in their sensations or feelings.
When I was in it, it was mostly white people. So white, privileged, educated, heady.
The primary people who took to it were minorities, from what I recall. I mean, certainly there's a good portion. But,
You could also say that the stuck-up rich white people are the folks that need it the most.
That's interesting.
It's a take, at least. But yeah, as far as the circling professionals that I know, most of them have a hard enough time scraping together a living, even in Austin or Amsterdam. So don't know of anybody taking it out on the road much.
Well, I would hope that people do it for as an avocation rather than as a salaried income. But
Oh yeah, yeah.
usually the ones that do it for free really aren't that rigorous. So
Great. I'm wondering how to get present to like what's up at stake for people when I imagine the context that we set up is now like too high stakes or like too adversarial. I make up that the impact right now I'm paying is more gardenist, which is understandable. And historically, the people I invite are I have personal relationships with, where it's like much more useful to have them just jump straight into it or lack of,
most people don't want to do anything that puts them or their beliefs at stake.
My story is so.
Oh, wait a minute. Victor, what are you nodding your head?
Yeah, well, it seems about right to me. Most people don't want to do things that will like challenge, if you put your beliefs at stake, man, then and it changes, and a small part of you dies. So it's people are kind of not really typically into the actually dying every day sort of thing.
So from where you started, Victor, how much died? Percentage?
Oof. I mean, impossible to know. Impossible to
I
know,
know,
but
but gross estimate.
I'm gonna
More than
say
50%?
I'm gonna say could be a good. Well, I wouldn't say good, but let's say
Good enough.
at least 15% over the last 5 years or so.
Only 15.
I don't know. It's hard to know because there's like a lot probably that I've not yet discovered. So hard to know. They could say, whatever you get to see, whatever I get to see, I kind of have the impression of it being, tip of the iceberg, and that there's probably a lot underneath that I haven't seen. So hard
You
to know.
look like you've been in Africa, and James looks like he's been to a lot of zoos.
Thank you. I like to look like the kind of person that has been to Africa. I've not.
And for what it's worth, Victor, I would have guessed a lot higher than 15% for you.
Yeah, really?
Yeah.
I find that charitable. Thank you.
I find that charitable. Odd choice of word.
Great. I have an interest in getting support for myself and for Zev. We're about to have a housewarming party in the house later. And Zev,
Put acid in the Kool-Aid.
oh, that would be certainly a reputation to begin with. Um, well, I really enjoy your use of extreme ideas that have me get present to what I do not want so I can get clear on what I do want. And I've been interested in having Zev, he shared like a beautiful potential like intro speech yesterday. And I'm interested in what you would see as like the perfect intro to what we could have here if this was like designed as a perfect like Phoenix deck.
So just so you know, Alton, you have me, you have another elder type in Victor, you have another elder wannabe in Victor, okay? And what you want to do is ask about a house party?
Yes, and every day Chuck would carry water.
Okay. Okay, what do you want? Ask a specific question. I'll do the best I can.
What are some elements that you would like to see more in the culture, both in this home as well as a precedent that we set forever in this home, based on like what words Zev and I can share tonight when we're at the housewarming event, and we're going to have like 40 people, maybe more, from our community learn more about what we're about.
You have, I mean, again, this is my personal prejudice, okay? You have to take a stand about what you mean as being the SEAL team headquarters, okay? Or the SEAL camp, or whatever it is that you want to bill yourself as. You want to make it clear using language that they understand about what you're up to. What are the and what are the great things that you think could happen? What are the bad things that you think are going to happen? And then you're going to skew the bad things as being great fertilizer or great opportunities or great traps or whatever you want. You want to set yourself up, your house up as a separate organization from the rest of wherever it is that you're at, and that you have a vocabulary that speaks to people who want to be more than ordinary. Now, how you phrase that will depend upon your audience. If they're a bunch of silicon, namby-pambies, you're going to have to speak some woo stuff.
I've been getting more present to how the woo stuff turns a lot of the more technical people off, and the technical stuff turns a lot of the spiritual meditatory people off.
Okay, that's why you said you do both. So you do them in like rapid succession, and people will ignore the parts that they don't understand, and they will only hear the parts they do understand. So you like rapid fire.
Zev, they're not as quick as you are.
This is what I've observed working in the past.
Okay.
I've seen people do this, and maybe it requires a bunch of skill to do well, but I've seen a skilled teacher rapid fire say the same thing in multiple ways, and it lands for the people it was intended.
Well, you have a distinct lack of skilled masters in your house, so that's probably not going to work very well. So you got to come up with Plan B now.
Why would you have that in listening versus I have it? That's
make sure there's. I mean, if you want to get crazy, get it posted at the top of it. Say for you technical weenies, and then write for you woo people, and just write it all down and just let them have at it.
The other way of
What
doing
do you do, Victor?
Mm-hmm.
The other way of doing it is
you
you
do?
have different people say different things. Right. And
You're
this is kind of what I was
asking-
supposed to do before. Right? I get up, I say some things, I'll be able to communicate with a particular
Can I
set.
mute them?
You can get up and you can communicate in a way that a different set of people will be able to. And this way, we're kind of talking to different
Self-absorbed
people.
young people.
that makes sense. Okay.
I found it difficult to hear you, Kraye.
All right, there's a pause. Victor, what do you do?
All right.
What do I do? What I do is that's a great question, man. I mean, I used to be a software product manager, and I haven't done that for like 18 months or so. At the moment, I am building Vibe Cafe. And for me, that means like building relationships, generative relationships, and like figuring out how we can help one another on one another's projects. And I don't know, the whole sort of like deliberately developing the community thing is like pretty alive for me in that. Hey, good to see you, Zeb. Zeb wore my jacket at the outing the other day.
Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, you remind me of people who've seen too much, Victor.
Oh, that probably comes of like 20 years or I was married for 20 years and the back half of that was like progressively worse. So I learned a lot in those 10 years. Uh, that's
James
probably part
strikes
of
me
it.
as he knows what he's seen. You look like you don't understand a lot of what he's seen. James is like, I know what I'm seeing.
Mm,
Seem very confident.
mm, mm, mm.
Hmm.
Yeah, I feel as though like I'm continually like learning more about what I've seen and what I see. I'm not I don't have a level of confidence that my that feels very fluid, I guess is what's up.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Alton, back to you. I'm here. I've flirted enough with these two guys for the moment.
Well, I'm interested in how to rein them in. It seems like a deliberately practicable skill, or like my capacity to enroll people in this work, with like a smooth ramp way seems not smooth or effective. And it seems like I just dump people into the deep end for this work, or
Yep.
a lot of dipping the toe in and like hesitation and tough. And I'm like, oh, this is like so much work. Um, so I'm still struggling with how, after nearly 4 years of these calls weekly, I'm surprised at how much overhead there is. And there's a lot of like last night I was at another friend's birthday party and being able to just like go into mini hangs in front of other people and then have them all be super juiced and super interested. Great. And then it doesn't seem to translate online nearly as effectively. Or like maybe because the relatedness isn't there.
I don't know. It could very well be like, I'm kind of coming in sort of like with an expectant, awaiting kind of vibe. I don't know why, but I think that that kind of comes of the description. And like this sort of sense of like coming into the dojo and like, the senseis are gonna like uh, do provocational shit or something. So if like, I don't know, how are you guys feeling like you're arriving like today? Is this par for the course for you?
I'm where I always am.
All right.
Right. There are definitely days I experience you as like more emotionally available or patient for people's pathologies or parts. Where are you? Holy stuff.
I think you're a crappy marketer, Alton. You get the people in for the first time, and then you don't have. And granted, I'm a difficult product. It's just like, yeah,
Ah,
botulism. Let's do some botulism there, or some ayahuasca. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Okay.
Puking
Well,
your guts out.
I know there's a significant drop-off curve, but I also know that like it occurs to me that smart people are consistently able to get a ton of juice from this, even if they never come back after the first time, they'll still talk about you years later.
But juice is doesn't nothing happens with juice. I consider and juice the shit out of James, or please the fuck out of Victor, and they'll feel something, but it doesn't translate to anything. It doesn't translate to anything in their life. They'll think about it. They'll talk about it.
oh, I see. So is the oper are you saying that this is kind of like the kind of vibe is like enrollment in a journey as opposed to like, I don't know who
That's
you're pointing at.
Alton's.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
sorry, I'm pointing at Alton. I'm just doing me. I don't have any. I have no vested interest. I'm not selling anything. Alton roped me in with some sort of woo woo, life, like, or
All right. Well, then
I
what's in this
signed
for
something
you?
for me.
Yeah.
I'm fulfilling my contract with Alton.
Ah,
I thought he was asking why you made the contract, or
Oh, I did not. I looked down and I'd already signed it. I'm like, crap.
I still don't understand how you
Every
said this so many times.
Every time like the half hour before, I'm like, oh, can I get out of it this time? Can I get out of it? I could tell him a lie. I could tell him a story. I could do anything. Can I just get out of it and do the right thing, fit, whatever you want to call it? Says, no, you're showing up again. I'm like, okay, fine. I'll show up again.
Thank you for showing up.
I did think that our two hosts here were going to be, I don't know, like more in sync with each
Oh,
other, or
no.
maybe I was kind of expecting maybe like the good cop, bad cop kind of thing, perhaps. But then I still thought like the routine would be down for
No,
however long you guys have known each other. But
no, it's two different species. Two very different species. He lives and plays and operates in a world that is very foreign to me. And I exist in a place that he has no freaking idea what the hell's going on, usually. He's getting better though.
Hmm. Well, so far my encounters with like Alton have been, I don't know, atypical from like my encounters with like, you know, the word normal people comes up, but I was looking for something that felt more charitable than normal.
Muggles.
Muggles, yeah, sure. I'm reminded, like on the walk back, Alton, like I had said, I forget exactly what it was that I had said, but like I think that your comeback to it was something along the lines of like, well, if you want to continue to be taken advantage of, then keep doing what you're doing. Um, I don't know. There's something that strikes me as really generous about offering kind of confront excuse me, confrontational observations. So I think that coming in today, I was steeling myself for more confrontational observations.
That lands for me, and typically also is a flavor of what I've gotten from Kraye here too. When he shares, there are certain ways that people show up, and ways that I've been challenged by showing up. He says, "Oh, then you'll just be used cheaply forever," and I'm like, "Oh." And I wonder how I'm complicit in that when I hear other friends share similar patterns baked into their language, which implies a whole meaning making structure about how they orient towards themselves and the world around them with value.
Yeah, I think that in the moment, like you saying it kind of made me instant like the forget'em, whatever it was triggered the forget'ems. And so I forgot what it was that I had even said. And instead my attention was brought to like, the observation. And you have a way of approaching thing or like making sort of jumps from here to someplace unexpected. And I feel like that in the moment, like being walked a little bit more slowly may have like helped me to see what it was. But then again, later, this is like, a couple of minutes stroll back from, a kind of bewildering like nighttime journey into trespassing on a bridge. So um, maybe if I was more, maybe that was present. But
So
I am sort of pointing at that like I wasn't able to walk with you from point A to point B, and you making that observation.
I see.
So you have the chance, Alton, to go back and tap that nail on the head one more time, or pluck that guitar string one more time. And so part of the benefit of being with you is that there's I wouldn't say gentleness, but there's a revisiting with you, and knowing that that happened once, that it might happen again is going to change their orientation, because they're going to come in and say, "Oh, a jalapeno pepper might just drop out of the sky on me."
Yes, right.
I see that.
And so when people come in here and they experience me, they get jalapeno peppers, but there's no container such that they get a repeat performance.
I'm noticing that like I might have been able to take a second bite of the jalapeno had I like been recording. Did I hear that you actually that you often bring a recorder along? It's just what I recall from like, us gathering. Yeah. I'm wondering if you're having it. I'm wondering now if you like recording all the way back to the car. I'd be curious as to like what that moment was about. And I was also kind of struck that like that kind of plucking the guitar string again implies either like kind of finding the chord in the moment because you're present with the person, or like you have just this superhuman memory about like all the individuals that that you come across so that you're able to like remember.
There's not that many chords.
Hmm.
There are infinite possibilities, but there's only in a bell curve for 2.5, 3 standard deviations. There's not that many chords used. There's not that many different ways of being human.
Hmm.
I look for the physics of what it is to be human rather than what is true for the individual.
That's
It's
one thing
like
I
you.
really got from my time with Kraye is the physics of humanity are largely the same. There aren't really that many patterns, and when you're present to the general textures and felt sense or like flavor of certain people and pairings, then for me,
Is your
like
favored like um framework for that? Like you mentioned Enneagram like earlier. Like is that your favorite one? Okay.
No, I know very little. I know I'm a counterphobic 6. So I've always been attracted to the dangerous and la 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 la. So
Yeah.
I was
I think
just
that's
wondering if you were.
well, I mean, I think that's like I got into black metal for a while, I think partly because of something like that. Uh, I kind of have an appreciation for people that seem to be like an acquired taste, if you will. Yeah. Wonder if that's something on the same sort of like
I have no idea.
similar quality.
And I'm 65 years old and I have to go to the bathroom. I'll be back. I don't know how those two are linked, but oh.
and I feel continually impressed at all the different flavors and versions that Kraye evokes. Yeah, I think there's probably some like entanglement around playing good cop, bad cop type of thing. I'm like, hey guys, this is like an incredibly powerful source of person here who's some sort of wizard in being able to read people in real time. And also, it takes a lot of like pressing buttons in the right order or something to like have him have a whiff of a flavor that he's interested in, has been my experience.
Hmm.
There's a certain like quality of dance that he's interested in, and when it's like activated or when it's present, then it's like so gorgeous. And I'm like, yeah, wow, it has been 37 minutes and like not yet activated that.
I mean, I could try and pull on some like victim stories, or I don't like what do you think would what's the meat what's the meat that we can dangle in front of Cray to get the animal to pounce?
When people are really clear what they want,
Hmm. Ah.
he
Ah.
becomes like activated, and it's like
Oh yes. Okay. Right.
so like earlier when he's like, okay, ask a really clear question. I'm like, this is what I want. I
Okay.
want to have clarity for the languaging for later today's housewarming. And he's like, great, do
Well,
this and
God
this and
damn it.
this. I'm like, wow, okay, that was really clear.
Okay. So yeah, I forgot. Process. You arrive with your biggest personal life challenge, preventing you from contributing to game B dynamics in a world. After considering the frame, unless you're serving from a full cup, you poison the well. Okay, fuck. Sure. Right.
Okay. Thank you for representing the context. Yeah.
Hmm.
sometimes I will also forget.
Yeah, well, I mean, totally came in distracted, so that one's on me. All right. I mean, I'm sitting with this and like I think that the biggest personal life challenges preventing me from contributing, like probably like alcoholism and and well, just sort of addiction in general, but like primarily like alcoholism and which by the way sort of coincided with like, you know, back half uh of the marriage.
Hmm.
Um and like I don't know. I think probably so I'm considering the frame or the invitation. I'll wait till he has his headphones in. Cray, able to hear me?
Yes.
Nice. All right, cool. So I forgot the invitation, which was like arrive with your biggest personal life challenge, preventing you from contributing to game B dynamics in the world after considering the frame. Unless you are serving from a full cup, you poison the well. And
And
so,
to be clear, Cray didn't have any of that context. I generated that
ah,
entirely too.
I see.
Idiocy. That's idiotic. But there you go.
I still want to take the frame on, and I get that Cray it may occur to you as idiocy, and I still have it as a great primer for the types of conversations that I've been experiencing in Liminal and for the context for these threads. But I haven't.
How are people supposed to show up knowing, owning, outing, dancing with that they're not really bringing a full cup? Seriously.
I have a
Well,
big suspect. I mean, Victor just shared a beautiful thing that felt tender and close to his heart in my world.
uh,
How is that
I mean, it's,
not being a full cup?
ah, hmm. So this full cup metaphor, I think, came in maybe at the very beginning of the session, and you know, was reflective of what was on the invitation. So, is there something in that that like should I just sort of set that aside? That's like not a useful frame. I'm I'm trying to do my part, you know, in the session to be an active contributor and to like, I don't know, offer something offer something that'll get juices flowing, you know.
Be
And if
here
you,
now.
yeah,
Bring your stuff.
my stuff. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
By
The
my
stuff that's
stuff,
important to you.
okay, cool. All right. So what's important to me is like how I show up with others and also like making making a financially secure life for myself so that I can like retire, you know, well and like live with my babe and like enjoy, you know, humaning for the rest of my days. At the moment, like so the money part is a bit of a challenge. I don't want to go back to work. I want to do something on my own, and that doing something on my own kind of comes from an observation that I'm a kind of guy and the kind of guy that uh, like has gone through a recent sort of life transformation, maybe more than 15% as James offered, like over the last few years, and I kind of come out with a different perspective on what's going on in the world and feeling like I want to be in service to that awareness and to like do something useful and beautiful in the world, right? And I
Well,
think that there are many people that want that kind of thing and are unsure how to go about doing it and being able to like support themselves while doing it. So like
yeah.
that's yeah.
I'm a pragmatist. I'm a functionalist. Okay.
Mm,
If at the top of if the thing that's needed to have all of your other dreams come true is some degree of financial stability, define what that is and make it happen. If you can go back to programming for a year and a half or whatever it was that you did, and you can make that nut, then who cares whether you want to or not? You're being in service to your the greater idea of who and what you can be. But if you don't have that nut, that house, that bank account, that whatever it is, all you're going to be doing is like, water on a hot frying pan. So for me, I'm a pragmatist. I'm like, okay, what do you need to get done so that the majority of your life can get done? Maybe you need to be healthy. Maybe you need to lose weight. Maybe you need to deal with your age issues. Because I'm about not telling you what to do. I'm saying, what kind of life do you want to have? And from my perspective, those inner voices can tell you all kinds of things. Your psychology, your psychopathology doesn't care what you talk about. It does not care. You can talk about going to Tahiti for 50 years and it doesn't care. The second you look into buying a plane ticket, then it starts to get reactive. So the stories that you tell about the things you want or what you feel like or whatever, I'm like, yeah, those are all stories. They're all cherry picked to reinforce your psychology. So let's sit down and say, okay, you want to be a Navy SEAL? What's the first thing you got to do, in your opinion? And it's like, okay, that's what we need to focus on. But I don't want to do that. Well, that's what going to the gym is about. Okay. You don't have to like going to the gym if you want to be physically fit or whatever it is. It doesn't matter whether you want to or not in that moment. You have a plan. It's like when you're coding, you need to get X amount done every day. Trying to do it the last day. Yeah, an undergraduate maybe, but and so how do you figure that out? And I've coached people to do all kinds of crazy things. And things that I don't particularly value, but it's what's the life that you want to have? This idea that there's some sort of template that we're all supposed to measure up to, and this is what human beings should be doing. Frick that shit.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know. I come here and just like, Alton and I made this deal. I'm not coming here and he asked me to be nice today, and I'm trying to be nice. Okay? But other than that, I have no particular axe to grind. I have nothing to sell. I'm just being me for 2 hours, 1 hour and 14 more minutes. Sometimes he makes me stay 5 or 6 minutes.
I'm curious, Victor, does that feel like a relevant strategy for you?
Oh, like I'm been aware that I could do that the entire time. And like I just don't want to. I
Oh,
know.
Trump doesn't want to be not a misogynist either. And a rapist doesn't want to not rape, and a pedophile doesn't want to not pedophile. Who cares what your psychopathology is telling you? Jenny wants to come in hugging a big bear. A big stuffed bear. There you go.
I have it that
Yeah.
very comforting for the type of work that I make up Kraye you do, where you like eviscerate people's ego, and then they finally get over themselves for a lot of like challenge there is.
Oh,
One of the ideas I had for Jenny was, were you open to sharing some of that?
Sure. I don't know what you're going to share, but go ahead.
Okay, well, great. Take your trust.
stop speaking for her. Stop. Alton, you
Well,
keep
try that.
caretaking. You're caretaking her smallness.
I'm supporting her by facilitating a conversation that she's as close to her heart that's a tender area for her. I'm showing that I'm in it with her.
You're bringing a tender heart to this.
Yeah.
Okay, you got 5 elder white guys and you blur. Good luck, Jenny. Don't do it. Don't do it.
All right.
Don't do it. If you got if you're going to talk about something that's tender to your heart and you're bringing in a big bear, a big stuffed bear to support you, and I am not I can be very brutal, and that bear isn't going to stop anything. I don't know, the rest of these guys they look like nice people. I'm not. So I would my opinion, don't bring anything that's tender to your heart. But it's just an opinion.
All right.
Okay, Jenny has a huge commitment that she's out to create in the world. And
Oh,
she's here to
shut
get coaching.
up. Shut up. If she has balls, let her use them. Or ovaries, or whatever she identifies as. Let the bear do the talking if she wants. She can put the bear up and make it move its hands and pretend it's the bear talking.
I don't really understand what's going on.
I think he's
That's
trying
the
to
first
provoke you.
Mhm.
No, I'm not.
Kraye, you're trying to invite her into owning her desires and ask her what she wants in this.
She knows her desires. She knows what she wants. She's probably not going to say that. She's probably going to go up a couple levels and talk about something a lot safer than what she really wants. She's highly intelligent. She's very stylish, very well educated, I imagine. And she's not used to dealing with meat and potatoes. She's actually walking around in the house hugging a giant teddy bear as if it's going to protect her from something.
Okay, I made up that story. I mean, she was just hanging out and playing, obviously.
I was actually
She agreed to it.
that hair.
Okay, she was causing battery upon her.
Okay. If you want to dance, Jenny, put the bear down. If you need the bear to dance, I don't want to dance with you.
I like my bear.
That's fine. I like my clothes too. I'm not going to take off my clothes to dance with you. It's not that you like the bear presents. It's the signifier signified. The signifier, the bear, doesn't hold any meaning in and of itself. It's the meaning that you give it. And I don't know, but I don't think in my I'm 65, ancient, full-grown, powerful, strong women don't walk around with 4-foot teddy bears as a protective device or because they like it. But that's my personal bigotry.
Okay, great. I still have an interest in having Jenny have a flavor of a dance with Kraye, and I'm wondering what
It
is.
is.
Oh, okay.
I really want to know what's on your mind because I actually don't know what you're referring to.
What you're sharing about John.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm curious to talk about that. It is somewhat tender, but that's okay.
All right.
I want to find work, and I don't know what I want to do, and feel stuck.
Okay, so again, I'm just giving you opinions. None of this is based in scientific truth, but your brain is set up in such a way that if you can understand a question, your physiology will create an answer. If you understand what escape velocity is, okay, and I tell you that the escape velocity for Earth is 6 miles per second, and I ask you, Venus, it's a much less dense planet. What's the escape velocity for Venus? And your mind, if it understands the question, comes up with an answer. It may not be the right answer, but something comes up. And this is a stance that you take in your life. It's a very helpful thing. Because if I say, Jenny, what do you most want to do for money? Ping! Something comes up in under a second and a half. Now, it may be something that you don't want to admit to anybody else. It may be something really stupid, but whatever, who cares? So you can sidestep that I don't know bullshit. And so you practice. You practice saying, okay, and if it's a nonsense answer, what's the square root of 64? Pregnant hippopotamus. It's an answer. You practice making sure that you don't buy into the psychopathology of, I can't have an answer to that because it's really dangerous. I might get laughed at, or daddy might spank me, or blah, 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 blah. Now,
Do
if
you
you're
think
looking for your,
I hear you say, I have an answer, as much as anyone else has an answer.
no, I'm not talking about anybody else on the planet. I'm just talking about you. As a human being, if you ask yourself, or somebody else asks you, what do you want to do to make money? And you're going to say prostitution, selling drugs, writing short stories, writing screenplays, plumbing. I don't know. Something's going to come up. And you can look at that and say, do I want to invest my money, my chi, my time in that? And you're going to go, no. Or you're going to go, okay.
My split-second answer is nothing, which is kind of sad.
No, it's not. You want to be taken care of. You want to be a, I don't know what it's called, a kept woman. That's fine. If you can find, all relationships are transactional. If you can provide somebody with enough valuable coin to them, they will support you. You have to figure out what that person wants, though. And maybe what they tell you.
I was sharing with Jenny that I have it that there's a world where her delight in just moving through the home and how she like decorates and or creates incredible food things just because it's fun for her. There's a world where we could subsidize everything for her. I don't know how sustainable.
It's not subsidized. Stop it. That's bullshit patriarchal crap. Okay? There is somebody out there, Jenny, that looks at you, likes what it sees, it's pleasurable to see, and how you move through a house doing whatever it is at Alton. They're like, okay, I will pay you money and house you and feed you, whatever else it is, if you keep doing that stuff.
That's kind of strange.
Yeah. I mean, look, all these people, all these therapists, all we do is create stories. And people pay us to do it. All we're doing is writing little tiny plays and saying, here, try this one. Try that when your brain hears a question that you formulate an answer. And you put it into your little psychology and off you go.
Well, what if the question is more like, I want to feel like I'm working or like making something and I don't know, feel like I have a more sustainable way of generating income, not just to exist right now.
So good. That's all good meta stuff. Now, how are you going to operationalize those pieces? You have to define what making money is. You have to define what, how much is enough. You have to, find out what it is that you're able to do. It's not like people are going to pay you to do brain surgery.
Very true.
It's not that difficult.
Wait, Kraye, can you help me distinguish what you said instead of subsidizing, just paying for it all?
Subsidizing is basically people who have money who are paying you, who are giving you a gift because you're incompetent.
Well, no, but she's so competent at making the place so much more like yummy to be in that we want to make that easier.
No, you don't subsidize it. You pay her. You pay her a salary. You're an employer. You're not giving her
distinct from
gift.
Okay, how does this relate to like patrons? Because my model is patrons do that, or like I'm a beneficiary of someone who's a patron of me and or like the work that I bring.
They're paying you.
It's not literal dollars, but yeah, it's okay. I guess some people do also give dollars, but okay.
They can give you a house. They can do whatever they want. It's transactional. It's not they're giving you a gift because they get to feel good.
Hmm. Okay.
So how does this convert to actionable things for Jenny?
Yeah, what do I do about that?
I don't know. I don't know what you want to sell. I don't know what it is that you think. I mean, somebody who can, hang pictures on a wall, there's a lot of people who can do that. I don't know what you do. I can't tell you to go out and become a lead singer in a black heavy metal band because I don't know if you play an instrument. If that's any whatever, you have to sit down. It's like
Okay,
it's like
first step, sit down, inventory the things that Jenny wants to do and get it paid out.
yeah. And she's not going to buy it.
Because of
In
that
my
patience
world,
question?
because Jenny wants to feel on fire. She wants to feel touched by God. She wants to find her true calling. She wants to feel her soul purpose. It's all crap. It's all meaningless, but it looks like she's bought into it.
So you're saying she's hopeless.
And unless she hits rock bottom in some way. She's pleasant. She's nice. She's normal. She doesn't want to work hard. She doesn't want to break a sweat. She doesn't want to look ugly. She doesn't want to do things that stop her from, being whatever it is that she is.
I mean, I don't know anyone who would want to say that they want to do those things, or they'll do those for some other outcome, like it's worth suffering those things for some cause.
Yeah, Navy SEALs want to feel pain because they think that by feeling pain, they'll become the best soldiers on the planet. Jenny doesn't have anything like that. There's no goals. There's no ideals. There's no, this is what I want to be. This will make me feel more of who I am.
Hmm.
From over here, there's nothing happening until the fire gets lit in her belly. If it.
How can I support her and accelerate that?
You can't.
That seems like a false premise. I mean,
send her off to the Light Dark Institute and see what happens.
oh, okay. Well, my city's telling now.
You have to
you're
put
gathering.
Hmm?
What are you saying?
Nothing.
I'm just struck by how much you gathered about me without me saying much.
It's not what you say, it's how you be. Jenny, from over here, from my bigoted
Oh,
view,
thank you.
the only way that you're ever going to find a fire in your belly is to put yourself in situations that are dangerous to your public face. Now,
Like
I don't recommend. That could be, but I think that you won't actually run out of money unless you have, familial people who will save your ass. But you'll get close to it and then you'll do something desperate. So the thing is, do something before that. Find out what you can do. Can you, what's the bottom rung of making money for you? In what field? Can you be a vet? Can you be a greeter at Walmart? I don't know. If you don't find a way of making an income, even if that's getting married to somebody or selling yourself into white slavery or running drugs, if you don't find a way to make money, you die. And you've probably relied on your charm and your good looks and your niceness, and and it's gotten you by. But you haven't found the golden ticket.
I don't think I've done that, but it's interesting to hear that from you.
Point to the big accomplishments in your life. Point to the things that people are like, oh my God, you did that.
Well, I'm also interested in continuing this thread. I want to name that I had another friend join. I mentioned to her there's like a 15-minute window. I think these are great frames. If there's any last frames you'd offer, that was, I think, supportive. And any like exercises you could take on, that'd be great.
No, I urge caution. Work slowly, work with the small things, find somebody who understands fire and talk to them about it.
Okay.
Find somebody.
Is there a way you can coach this other friend? Her name is XE, or I don't know how to pronounce her name.
Z?
Z.
Yeah, it's like a Z.
There's a way that Z would like to pronounce, like to practice or dance with anger more proficiently, is what we spoke about last night. And maybe that's related to a way that Jenny could show up too. Not a problem, but like the main focus wanting to switch more to Z as well.
Well, if you want to practice on anger, put yourself in a situation. You can start off by yourself in the privacy of your own room and practice being angry. The next thing you can do is you can do a little bit of Google research and videos and say, I would like to practice being that kind of angry, or practice that or practice that. It's all it is you're practicing being an actress or actor or whatever you identify as. And hopefully you'll touch into something that will trigger the anger that is within you.
So my issue is not triggering my anger.
Mm-hmm. What is your issue?
Knowing how to use my anger in a productive way so that I'm not nasty to people.
Okay, so the first thing you do is you own the nasty bitch that you are first. You make that okay.
Yeah.
Okay? You do that, and then you start figuring out, oh, I don't want to act like this crazy person with anger. What are some other effective ways of learning? You're looking to get cultural coaching. I don't know what culture you belong to, but within your monoculture, there are appropriate uses for people like you of your type of how to use anger. And you just practice. And again, it's culturally specific. If you're old school Japanese, or you're old school Korean, or you're old school Afghani, how you express anger in a way that's culturally appropriate can vary a lot. The first thing to do is like, what do you want to get done with when you're feeling angry? You can either take a baseball bat to somebody, and that is a certain thing to do. But what is the thing that you want to accomplish when you're angry with this kind of person in this kind of situation? You have to take into account your vocabulary and your skill set around anger. And you have to take into account what culture they're from. It's hard work. And it can be a lot of fun. I mean, I always encourage people to take either acting classes or to take improv acting classes. It frees you up. If you get a good director, he'll start, after you prove that you don't mind getting screamed at or whatever, they'll put challenging roles in. And you can even say, I haven't been an emotional beast my entire life. I would like to get some practice embodying these emotions. I mean, if you really want to be crazy, I do a thing called Hang. It's 2 hours of Zoom. There are breakout rooms, and you can say, Alton, come with me to breakout room 2, and I'm going to be angry at you, and I'm going to try to just be a crazy bitch, or I'm going to try to make you love me, or I'm going to try to make you be afraid of me, or I'm going to try to make you punch me. Whatever it is. It's just practice. You're just practicing. Does that make sense, Z?
Yeah.
Okay. 51 minutes.
You, is there anything else that you wanted from today? I mean, you saw some of the streams from the past and you seemed tantalized and also tentative.
What experiences are you referring to?
You witnessed several of the past streams and you shared some reflections that I thought were very insightful and juicy. And I'm wanting to evoke that version of you here, or to summon some more of the sapience of what you saw possible for yourself in taking on this call.
I think so. My mind is kind of coming to a blank. I would love
You
it
and Jenny.
if you could refresh me on what it is that I said. Because I would like to use my anger to advocate for myself and kind of just use that as maybe like a tool for focus or something, rather than to see it and to just break down from it and to get triggered by it and to allow it to control me in a way that I don't think is healthy or sustainable.
Right. So what does advocacy mean? You want to be angry such that you end up in jail? Do you want
Sounds like
advocacy so
protect
that
what's important. And sometimes there's situations where unless if we lean into anger, we're not like protecting something that's important, but sometimes you lean too far into it, then it like completely blows other people out around you.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
what you have to practice that.
Mainly, I think it's the fact that I was raised and as like very obedient, and I only had two modes to be either incredibly quiet or incredibly rude. And now that I've tried to socialize myself by talking to people, I think I've learned a little bit more on how to kind of act the way that people need me to act in order to seem like a sociable person. However, that hasn't gotten rid of any of the anger that still lives within me. So instead of allowing that to advocate for myself of saying, hey, I feel I don't know, angry that this person did this or that you did that. Um, and I would feel not seen or unacknowledged, and I would just like I have a need to feel seen or acknowledged or something. Or respected. That is the main thing I think when I say advocacy. Um, yeah.
People usually don't respect you in most cultures if you're perceived as being out of control, whether it's with anger, whether it's love, whether it's whatever. It's not, people are not going to give you respect because you're angry. People may fear you because you're angry. But if you're looking for respect, it's about how do you do things when you're angry, and that will have them be respectful of the thing that you're doing while being angry. If your anger is based in childhood stuff, then you probably don't want their respect. You want them to fear you. And that's a thing to own first. You want to, you want to go back and make it okay for whatever kid it was that felt whatever it felt. And that's part about going back and reparenting yourself or doing internal family systems or, doing something so that you can be the container for your anger rather than your childhood learning. If you had to repress it, that's what you learned. If you were angry when you were 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old and you got the crap beat out of you, then you learned to put it away because you didn't like getting the crap beat out of you. And now you have to go back to that part and say, it's okay to be angry. I'm not going to let you destroy my apartment, but I will listen to whatever it is that you want to be angry about in your time, whether it was your mother, the father, the dog catcher, whatever it was. And you practice nuancing and getting more vocabulary around anger. There's a big difference between wanting people to fear you because of your emotions and having people dance with you while you're having big emotions.
Yeah. I don't think I think there's definitely a part of me that wants to be feared, but I don't think that's what I really want. My main thing is just I would like to be I would like to kind of just take up space in a way that is like respectable and yeah, basically doesn't leave me neglected.
Yeah. So then you identify the places where that's happening, where you think that's happening, and teach yourself to act differently. If, for instance, you have a stutter, and whenever you start speaking, people sort of like laugh at you, whatever, you can do things about that. It's not natural. People don't naturally give you respect or any of those other things.
How do you focus or what advice would you give to someone who I'm not really able to focus whenever I do get angry or whenever my emotions are heightened. I'm trying to do this different thing, but it doesn't always work.
Yeah,
I need to like separate myself and then breathe somewhere else and then come out and
set up a practice. You set up a practice where somebody's going to trigger you into your anger, and you have a plan about how you're going to try to be when that anger flares. And you can count sheep, you can do mindfulness, you can, pay attention, you can stick an ice pick in your face. I don't know. But it's training. There's no magic bullet here. You have to, because, it's, pretend you're a racist. You're a dyed-in-the-wool racist. It's 1940. You're in the deep South. Your mother, father, grandfathers, back generations have all been racist as hell. You can't just wave a wand. You have to practice going down and sitting next to those people and acting like they're not the pejorative that you think that you've been trained to believe they are. It's the same thing. You think that just because you're feeling angry that you have to do certain things. You don't. I feel lots of things and nobody knows it. Just because you're feeling something doesn't mean you need to broadcast it.
I can't usually tell other people that, but they usually feel the need to broadcast it.
They sure do. And that, yeah, that can be irritating as hell.
Sometimes when people broadcast it and I don't, I see them getting their needs met a lot quicker than I do. So it makes me think as though I would need to broadcast it the way that they do.
Depends upon the group that you're with. If you're in the United States and you're with the green meme people or the sensitive new age people, yes, they have a cultural bias to talking about what's going on with them, such that other people understand, and they wanting to be good people give you what you want. That's the, I mean, and then you go to a, you know, like an old school Asian culture. That's not going to work at all. And so it depends what culture you're in, depends who you're dealing with. Like Maverick, if you went up and said, I'm feeling really bad, he'll probably be very sympathetic to you. And he'll give you a shoulder to cry on and ask you what you feel sad about. And you know.
But as opposed to what?
As if somebody saying, get a life. Who cares how you feel? Have you threshed the 3 bushels of wheat yet? I don't care what you're feeling. You're here to do a job.
Lindsay, I just want to check in. I know you mentioned that you had like 15, 20 minutes max. And so
Yeah. Thank you for that reminder. Yeah. Yeah, I would like to go. Thank you though.
thanks for playing.
Okay, Maverick, what do you got? You obviously aren't flying jets. You're muted.
We just finished reading something from Ultimate about how this goes.
Did your parents name you after the movie?
After the old westerns.
Oh, really? Those were good westerns. Have you watched any of them?
No, but I know the theme song from a kid who used to sing it to me all the time during school, middle school, at recess.
Yeah. You really should check out your lineage there.
Yeah, I'll give it a look. Yeah, let's see. So there's something here for me around not being willing to. I'll speak at length. Not being willing to commit to things given there being no ultimate want. And the ultimate want when I feel into it is pure and utter self-realization. And yet when I go towards that as the only ultimate want, things in my relative life don't, like, what's the point of doing the whole fucking life thing? And so there's a dimension in which I don't commit to all these projects or relationships in my life. And I'm always having this subtle plan B occurring subconsciously that I could that's seeking freedom through safety at all times, like being unattached to things I don't want to commit to. That also is tied in with some chronic health stuff that I'm unable to necessarily commit because I don't have energy all the time to bring it. But nonetheless, that's an excuse piece, but also just a reality for me. And then maybe it's also hooked into the commitment piece. So I'm having difficulty in my life fully saying, yes, this is what I'm doing. And I'm willing to sacrifice all of the other trees of time in my life towards doing just this thing. Because I'm unable to find that.
What's the problem? You sound like you have a really good grasp of what reality is for you, how to manage it, and you're doing the best that you can.
I'm giving too much energy by holding up a lot of open potentialities in my life, and I feel less clean and driven fully from my entire being and what I'm doing by having those potentialities always open, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but why is the part of you wanting to do that? The evidence is that's the strongest part of you. The strongest part of you is living your life. The evidence is all around you. Like I said, your character doesn't care what you say. I want to do this, I want to do this, I would like to do that, I'd like to do that. It doesn't care. You can talk about going to Tahiti for the rest of your life, as long as you don't take any action. So here you are, you're talking about these things that you say you want to do, and you're not doing them. That's fine. People do that all the time. And there are these other things over there, all these other minor commitments that you're like, I can't do those, and that's fine too. If you can make a life, if this is the life you want to live, that's fine. It's your life. The question is, what do you really think you want to do? What's the benefit? What's the payoff? What's the, if you're going after ultimate oneness and you can't commit, you're fucked. Because I don't care what you write about, getting to that place requires more commitment than statistically anybody has. It's not something you just do. You devote your entire being to it. You give up your family, your life, your job, your health, everything. Anything that you're attached to, even non-attachment. If you're attached to non-attachment, you got to give that up too. It's not an easy path.
Yeah, that's one belief and frame that's happy to have, which I tried on a couple of years ago, which was true for me. My entire being was on fire. I left everything I had behind. I was in the jungles of India doing only meditation. I was fully alive with it. And guess what? I suffered immensely. And it's really not that interesting of a life, even if there's this movement towards that at the end of the day. So it's a certain belief system that I have to detach from those things.
So what do you want to create in your life?
I want alignment and to be able to wake up and feel that I'm not holding the energy of a lot of loose ends in my life. I want to be able to fully drive my being through something occurring in my life, like being fully committed to a project.
To what? To what? Pick one thing. If it's no more, start small. Brush your teeth every morning.
Right now, it's a project I'm working on that's it's a voice AI for emotional work, and I love it. It's amazing. But there's some part of me as well that's kind of looks for exit doors just in case, so I don't have to fully give everything to this thing. Because there's other things that I do want in my life, such as continuing the spiritual unfoldment, such as engaging in fulfilling relationships and whatnot. And there's a way in which, I'm not fully giving myself to this project.
Well, from over here, you can't fully give yourself. That's an impossible. You're a human being. You can't 100% give yourself. So you're going to give some partial amount to that. And you can choose to be okay with that, or you can fight against it your whole life. So one of the things is about accepting the way that you are, accepting the human being that Maverick is. That's the first step. And then you look around and you say, okay, so what can I do here? Not what do I want to do, but what can I do? I can give this project 5 hours a week, 30 hours a week, whatever it is, and you gradually practice your commitment muscle. And you can do it in lots of little tiny ways. Because right now, it looks like your character has this big, storm and drog about commitment. And it's like, well, you committed to getting dressed for this call. You committed to, brushing your hair or brushing your teeth or putting on clothes. You did it. You know how to do commitment. The question is what happens when I imagine that there's a specific kind of commitment or there's a certain kind of flavor that arises that you're like, I need to step back from this commitment right now. That's worth investigating to me.
That kind of multi-year long endeavors. So whether it be a lifelong partner, like that sort of choice, or even an apartment lease, or I'm going to commit to this project for the next 3 years and going to push everything I have so that it doesn't fail. That's where I don't know who I will be in 3 years. So who am I to decide for that person?
Yeah, that's ridiculous. I don't even, a 1 year lease, I'll sign it. And I know that if something comes up that's juicy enough, I'll break it in a heartbeat. I'd have to have a longer conversation with you because you're using a buzzword called commitment. And I don't know what it is that you mean by this or what your psychopathology is telling you this means. Because a lot of people think that it means you die trying to get to this thing. And that's not the way that non-fictionalized human beings live. There's no such thing. It's like commitment. There's no such thing as 100% commitment because if a big enough offer comes by, everybody's going to jump. Okay? So it doesn't, so what's important to know is like, what are the things that are going to have you give up this commitment? You know, is it better sex? Is it more drugs? Is it, you know, getting to watch TV in the morning? I don't know what it is. There's no such thing as concretized 100% commitment, no matter what the movies tell you. So all of a sudden you're like, oh, wait, I don't have to be 100% committed. This is just my way of messing with myself. So I want to do this project for however long I do it. And I know that on Sundays and on these days, you know your commitment killing things. And so you're aware that when they come up, you're like, okay, let me put my commitment aside. I'm going to go over here and I'm going to shoot up 4 grams of heroin. I'm going to have a wonderful weekend. And then Monday morning, I'm going to have a little bit of a hangover and I'm going to get back in my chair and I'm going to do whatever it is I'm doing. You're more loving and kind with yourself around this craziness about, I need to be the maverick of the movies. You know, that's all crap. Be kinder to yourself, Maverick. Stop holding yourself up to these crazy ideals and stop punishing yourself. Be okay. Be okay with like, okay, Monday from 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock, I'm going to get in there and do this. And then I'm going to go have a milkshake, whatever. Stop beating the piss out of yourself.
There's a yearning for the aliveness that comes from having that sort of on fire within my soul level intensity towards something.
Yes, and as an adult masculine, you can have that yearning and say, I need to feed the baby right now. I need to make rent right now. You're not denying that it exists. But that was a young man's journey. That was appropriate to a certain time in a certain place. And now you have different fish to fry. You had that. You had more than most people ever have. You got to go into the jungles of India and be bodhisattva, and you got to be the wild, crazy, holy man. Own that. And be okay that was, you know, you used to be in diapers. You used to enjoy just shitting and pissing on yourself. That was a great feeling. And now it's like, yes, I don't want to do that anymore. At least until I'm 75 or 80. It's okay to have a yearning. I had I had a hot sex when I was 18 and I'm 65 and, you know, it's okay. You can remember it fondly. That's who I was. Now I'm somebody different.
Someone who just has less fire for life? Is that what you're pointing to?
No, the fire for life is always there. You're just not running around semi-naked in a subtropical jungle, you know, being one with God. You're now building a career or building a family or building a reality or doing something. From that place, so you may not want to hear this, Maverick, but that feeling that you had in the jungle, you can have it now. It's a lot more difficult. It is a ton more difficult. Because you went to a special place, a special temple called Tropical Jungle, India, and you gave yourself permission to be that. You could have that exact same feeling. It's not dependent upon place. But to do that, you would have to be an extraordinary worker outer at the gym. It's much easier to do that in the temple than it is in real life.
Well, I'm experiencing life for all I know as this maverickness once, so I see no reason why to not do that.
Because it's extremely difficult. Because it requires a degree of concentration in a way that is antithetical to the way that the Western world lives. You can do it. It's possible.
By this, you mean specifically giving yourself over to some sort of path, whatever it may be, to where it becomes divine?
Become the divine path. There's no such thing as a non-divine path, except that we tell ourselves it isn't.
Right. And this is exactly what I'm pointing to, where it's like, there's something unsatisfying within the story that
Nope. That's made up.
What's made up?
The unsatisfying. You're saying that you're not on the path of God right now. That's impossible.
Yeah, totally.
So then, if you're unsatisfied, that's your small mind telling you. That's your monkey mind telling you. This is as holy a moment as it was in India.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah, but you're not living it. You're not being it. You can see it. You can hear it, but you're not embodying it. Only because you're believing your monkey mind. Unfortunately, Maverick, you know what I'm saying is wrong. It should piss the fuck out of your psychopathology. And Rian has had way too many drug trips to even bother. Ugh. Careful, Maverick. You'll find holiness everywhere.
Better watch out.
Yeah? Now, how can you find the holiness and not burn so brightly that they institutionalize you? The Western world doesn't like holy people. Be attentive. You can do it in prison. You can do it in a locked cell. I don't recommend it.
Yeah.
Do it. Do what you need to do to make your life solid enough so that you can play where you want to play. Ooh, that is gorgeous, man. That is really gorgeous. Keep bringing yourself back to what you know is true, no matter what your monkey mind is telling.
Which is this.
Yep. You can make this a living hell, or you can make it walking the godhood path. That is up to you. You can make walking the path be that you are totally on flame and you can't do anything and people have to take care of you. Or you can make it a programming job or whatever you want. It is so good. It is so good to watch people who have taken the red pill and then them realizing that, they're like, oh shit, I did, didn't I? Fuck! I'm just a whiny little bitch right now. Why am I buying into me being a whiny little bitch? Because it fits for the moment. Live large, Maverick, at least for the next 20 years. Live large and live God.
For the next 20 years.
Yeah, then you can get old and cantankerous and tell people to go fuck themselves.
Cool. Yeah, I feel complete.
Okay. Rian, you're up.
Thanks, Maverick.
Howdy.
Or howdy. You don't look Texan.
I'm not. Midwestern.
What do you want?
What do I want? I presume the question is as open as it sounds.
You're a presumptuous kind, so yeah, why not?
Sure. What do I want? I want to be included.
Yeah, Maverick would tell you we're all one. You can't be excluded. So if you're believing that you're being excluded, you're making that up.
True. Agree with that.
Now, if you're not being accepted at the men's club because of your nose ring, then you may want to take out your nose ring. So why don't you stop bullshitting and say what it is that instead of the vague generality of being included, yeah, that right there. You do love it when people call you on your shit.
Well, it's not so much bullshit as it is. There's a lot to say, and I'm trying to present something that is like, socially syntonic.
Socially syntonic? Ooh,
Whatever,
you're definitely not from Texas.
Um,
Come on, brass tacks. What are you talking about?
You say brass tacks?
Yeah. Get down to the nitty gritty. What is it that you're not being included in that you want to be included in?
Well, I would just like to have friends without. And so you say like, oh, take out your nose ring if that's inhibiting you. Like, sure, there are lots of patterns that I have that I recognize are directly working against that outcome I want. However, to remove those patterns in myself in order to acquire the like inclusion that I want would mean that the me that gets included isn't really authentic in me in the first place. So I would want to like.
You're nothing but a character, okay? You're a point of consciousness that adopted a human suit so you could have a human experience. Okay, you learned to be a certain way because your parents and whoever else was around there back then taught you how to be these things. The I that you think is you is just a character. You're an actor. You're not the character. Stop method acting. Put down the character. Decide what you want. Be the character that gets that stuff. Authenticity just means that you're coherent in the character that you're playing.
I agree with that. I don't know how to do that, I guess. I don't know how to act in a way that. Go ahead.
Identify the people that you want to be accepted by. Okay? It's a subculture of some kind. Figure out what their value positives are and what their value negatives are. It's just like you've been agnostic your whole life. You've met this really great person, but they're Catholic. And you don't know the first thing about Catholic. But you're like, oh, if I want to be included in the things that they think are important, I'm going to have to learn what the Catholicism is about. It's the same thing.
I guess what I've ended up finding is that the things I have to sacrifice to embody that sort of like whatever person that gets that thing is sacrificing. Like the thing that I'm acting in devotion to is something that I really find like profoundly meaningful and beautiful, and it feels really bad to like throw it away.
You value your meaningness more than you value having friends. That's okay.
Feels empty still though.
It should. It should. Speak to Maverick. He was out in the jungle going crazy. Nobody else was playing with him.
I feel like the best of life retains both.
Theoretically, yes. But if you're believing that you need to, divine God's will through the anus of a small cow, there aren't that many people that are going to play that game with you.
Did you say a small cow?
Small cow. Yes, you have to do an anal exam of a small cow in order to find out what God has planned for you. I'm being facetious. It's just something.
I wasn't sure if you said TAO or something. A small
No. COW.
Oh, gotcha. Interesting.
There are plenty of people who are setting themselves up as these special people because of their special beliefs or their special jewelry or their special, have you ever seen Alton's fingernails?
Nope, I don't think so.
All right. They're very beautiful. And there are certain subcultures that if he shows up with those kinds of fingernails, he's going to get hurt.
Texas.
Okay. Texas, yes. I would not suggest that he have those in Texas. Yes. But they're very important to him. And so you can either do the things that your character thinks are so damn important, or you could say, you know what? That's just my character's wants and desires. And I would rather be part of a really fun group of people doing fun things in the world. And I am going to cut my fingernails as much as my primal character doesn't want me to do that and is going to get terribly upset about it.
How do I, so like part of it, and I obviously there's tons of neurosis in what I'm about to say, but like is the things that I find meaningful, like I want to, go enforce those things on other people in the same way that anyone that is like, oh, I have this beautiful experience and I want you to have it too because I love you and this is what it feels like it would be to be loving or something. I don't know how to let go of it and feel
how
like
do you think pedophiles do that?
You say, how do I think pedophiles do that?
Yeah, how do you think pedophiles give up being pedophiles? How do you think rapists give up being rapists? How do you think racists give up being racist? Practice. You're no different than any of those people out there doing the value negative things that you're doing, that you're saying you just need not to listen to that voice inside that's saying, go have sex with that little 5-year-old. It's the same thing.
You're just saying that like projecting my values onto others is transgressive, like, right?
They might think it is.
No, that's right. It is received. Well, so I would say that if they're receiving it that way, that is sufficient to make it transgressive. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. That's why you need to know your audience. If you're, if you're promoting, egalitarianism, you probably don't want to go to a Klan meeting and say that Black Lives Matter.
Well, it feels, the amount of like work necessary to edit myself, I suppose, feels so overwhelming and unfair when other people don't need to do that. It doesn't seem.
It's not fair. Life isn't fair. Who told you life was fair? If you can live your life however you want. I agree with you. Sometimes putting down the things that your character finds very, very valuable is really difficult. But that's what makes champions champions. Because they're willing to do the work to get what they say they want to get.
Something I've ended up running into though is this sense that like I know a part of me is very interested in having this like very powerful sincerity recognized or valued or whatever, that I'm like trying really hard or whatever the fuck. But it seems like to succeed in letting go of that desire would leave me ultimately alone, like to be a way that would be included with other people, to be loving to them in some true way would necessitate letting go of trusting them to like actually have any sort of reciprocal relationship and I'm like just treating them like infants or something, you know?
Okay, so there's this thing called a monoculture, like the Amish,
Yeah.
okay? And they all believe in the same thing, so that when they talk about the same things, they all give the appropriate response. If you're in a monoculture and you're interfacing with other monocultures who are not yours, you could possibly get different reactions to the things that you say. Well, I asked you for a cup of coffee and you brought me a cup of milk. You know, I acted very sincere with you. I acted very heartfelt, and you punched me in the nose. Yeah. If you don't have an agreed upon culture, then you're running the risk of having things happen to you that you didn't think should happen. The problem is that it appears that you believe that your culture is right, rather than just another way of doing human. If you agree with the hypothesis that we're all wearing character suits, then why are you so invested in this particular character, other than you've been playing it for some decades now?
Feels under value. It feels like it's being missed by others.
Yep. Then why not take it? Why not enliven a character that other people are in love with? They're just characters. They're not real.
Because it seems like to like just be what other people like will feel good for other people, which can be fulfilling. It feels like it leaves me on like just physically associating with them, but not like deeply associating, you know, and in like a bi-directional way.
Yeah, it could. Depends what's more important to you.
Well, I
You
mean,
don't seem.
Go ahead.
You seem to be saying that bidirectionality is important to you, yet you're reporting that it doesn't happen very often.
Yeah.
So either you don't know how to do bidirectionality, or from over here, there's a strong part of you that says it wants bidirectionality, but keeps setting itself up so that it doesn't happen.
Why not both?
It could be. Yeah, I like the smile.
I don't know how to reprogram myself to pay attention to the things that it seems like I am unthinkingly blind to. I can only see them when I like sit down and look at what I was looking at. But in the moment, I don't have an into how to.
That's why you need spotters. That's why you need teammates.
I don't know how to find. I mean, that's inclusion, isn't it? If you find them.
Well, there's plenty of places where people will do faceted spotters for you. Like if you want to explore your emotionality, or you want to explore, whatever it is, there are little groups where people are willing to be your spotters. They're willing to see the things. They're called blind spots for a reason, is that you can't see them. That's why you want other people looking at what you're doing and saying, hey, I thought I was being really sincere here. And they're like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Great, I have it. That's what hang in the community is for.
It can be. It can be. If you go to a gym, there are people there. I mean, I was at the gym today, and some guy asked a really cute babe to be the spotter, and she went over there, and it looked like she had no idea what she was doing. And so if he had gotten into trouble, I stopped what I was doing. He was doing free weights, bench presses. So I stopped what I was doing and got ready to jump over there in case something went wrong, because she wasn't doing what I considered to be a spotter's job. She was looking out the window. He's sitting there getting, into that shaky place. She's looking out the window. That's not what a spotter does. The spotter pays very careful attention. She didn't have her fingers in place. She didn't have her hands in place. And so I was 15 feet away, and it was going to be bad if something went bad, but at least I could get over it.
So you're implying that by default, the community of spotters are not skilled enough to do it.
Sometimes, but you can go to a gym. Like she's there, she's at the gym. You would assume that she knows how to spot. You assume that if somebody says, "Would you spot for me?" she would say, "I don't know what you're talking about."
Yeah, well, I'm just getting a little confused. It sounds like you're playing both sides of the fence. I heard you just advocate for Rian getting like a community around, and then now you're also like, but none of them are skilled, so or
just because you're at the gym doesn't mean that the people around you know what they're doing. Some are there to socialize. Some are there to work. Some are there to do heavy lifting. Some of them are there to do aerobics.
I do
Don't assume
like search for them, but I don't know how to like establish connection. You know what I mean?
Well,
Rian, you
you
seem really
don't.
smart. I'm very confused why you don't seem to be able to generate a juicy enough carrot to attract other people to want to interface with you regularly.
It's the wrong side of the coin, Alton. It's not why can't he do it? It's like if he's actually in a place where there are people who are lifting, but nobody's lifting with them, he's doing that. The strong part of him is making sure that nobody helps
That's what it seems like. It
Yeah.
seems like a self-sealing deal that, but he's like, oh, I don't know what's going on. I'm like, okay, but
Yeah, he doesn't want to be accountable. His psychopathology doesn't want to be accountable for that. He's the one that's keeping himself alone.
right. So what do you think is going to make it different? Okay.
He's in a corner right now. You can see his eyes darting around. He's trying to get out of that corner. And he
Sure,
doesn't
because I
stay
want
away.
because I want to not find a way so that I can actually accept what you're saying.
Yeah.
I mean, it's difficult because it doesn't immediately fit that framework because I do.
Ryan, where are you? Rafan, whatever. I don't know what your fucking name is. Where
What's
are
it?
you? Where are you in the world physically?
Chicago.
So so you think that there's no place in Chicago where there are people working on a facet of themselves that you could.
Well, I don't go anywhere.
Oh, I'm so lonely and I'm an agoraphobic. I don't leave my house. There you go. I've got no friends because I don't go anywhere. God, amazing how that works out. But I never feel like going anywhere.
It's scary.
Oh. Why is it scary? What are they going to see? No. Don't you shrug that off.
I'm thinking, but
no, feeling. Go for the feeling. Go for the scary and listen to what the scared is talking about. It's probably that they're not going to find that you're out that you're Catholic.
I mean, just like just disgusting or whatever.
Yes. No, stay. Look at the camera. Look at the camera. No, don't smile it away. And just try to say, there's a part of me that if I actually go out there and start interacting with people, knows that they're going to find me disgusting. Nobody's going to want to be with me. And let that be okay, just as an acting exercise. Yeah, that right there. Let it be okay. You hold the container for it. Don't let that little kid hold the container. You look at that little kid and say, yes, this is what you believe. This is what you actually believe. That inner child actually believes this right now. And that's okay.
But that's what it's like. It feels like if I were to go out and everyone did that, and then I was like assumed this like self-secure sort of position, then like, cool, I can just be this like glowing light for them, but then I'm like actually alone, still.
No, you don't want to be a glowing light. You want to be a human being.
Well,
I
I
know
want,
he's
want to be a good one.
terrified. No, you just want to be a human being with all the pluses and all the minuses.
Well, if I don't try to be a certain way, I end up being very hurtful.
Yeah, well, you want to be with people who are willing to be hurt by you, and they expect you to be doing something not to hurt them so much. Everybody's an asshole sooner or later. Everybody's hurtful. That's part of being human. The best suggestion I have for you, Rafan, whatever, see if there's circling in Chicago, see if there's T group in Chicago, and get yourself to a beginning acting class.
Like TEA.
No, T is in capital T hyphen GROUP. It's they're online too, so you don't actually have to go anywhere. It's about present moment emotional awareness and revealing.
That's a good recommendation.
Yeah.
I'm only present with my emotions after or like alone.
Unfortunately, you have a really big one. And I'm sorry about that. If you had a little tiny one, it wouldn't hurt so much. But you got a really big one. And trying to sculpt your life so that you don't feel the pain, it's not going to work. It's not working. Just don't try not to think about it. Just feel it. Just feel it.
There are people looking at me though.
And that's okay. You're not doing anything that's going to get you arrested or beat up or anything. You're sitting in a car crying. Yes, it is. And you get to practice. That little kid doesn't believe it. I agree with you. And it wasn't safe for him. But you as the adult, you as the holder of the container, it's okay. And he can be terrified, and you can just hold him and say, I'm here. I've got this. And he's like, but they're looking, they're thinking bad things. And you're like, that's okay. That's okay that they're thinking bad things. I've got this.
Just have a lot of narrative around letting go of that sort of control is akin to not caring.
Yep. That is one
Like,
narrative about
it's like apathy.
it. No, it's not. It's maybe apathy for them, but it's not apathy for you. Right now, so you can't go out there and be the person that you want to be with people until you're that kind of person with yourself. So you got to practice with you first. There's a book called Self Therapy by Early, Early. It's about internal family systems. It's at Amazon. I suggest you get a copy of it and read it.
Why beginner acting?
Because it'll help you separate out your self-identification with your primal character. You will be asked and told to be different characters. And it usually helps you de-self-identify with the character that you think is I.
Well, I do feel like there is just the character. Like I have a natural feeling that way already. Like it's just I am specifically curating all my preferences and activities and motions or whatever for the sake of other people or whatever, my values. I don't feel very like viscerally identified with in like any
That's
sort of
what.
conscious sense.
So we're going to get you to try on different characters. We may tell you to act like a cauliflower. I don't know. It's practice in being somebody else.
That's what I mean. I guess it just feels like that's all I am is.
No, you're not being who you are. You're doing a bunch of things, but you're not being another character. You're smiling when you really feel like crying. You're angry when you really feel sad. You're doing a lot of things, but it's all still you doing it. You're trying to act like another character. It's okay. Have this cookie, eat the cookie, and in 15 minutes, everything will be all okay again. And then nighttime will fall and you'll do whatever you do at night. And then there'll be that 15 or 20 minutes before you actually fall asleep that you'll remember some of this stuff.
Did you suffer a lot as a younger man?
I suffered insanely. I was a party favor at sex parties when I was a small child.
You say a small child?
Mm-hmm. I was offered up as a party favor. Make sure you hydrate, make sure you eat well. I highly encourage you not to do any mind altering substances for the next 24 hours. Be kind to yourself. In dojo, there's a thing called snapback, which when you push yourself to an edge, your old self tries to reassert its primacy. And usually it does that by pissing the fuck out of somebody else. So just be careful of snapback. Be
By doing
kind
what
to
somebody
yourself.
else?
Pissing somebody off, getting angry with them for completely rational reasons, of course.
Of course.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, this was surprisingly substantive.
Mm-hmm. I think you just did a real serious workout. You're going to be sore in a lot of places. So just be kind to yourself, hydrate, eat well, and let it metabolize.
This is not super atypical for me. Running into
I
the
always
same.
like to warn people.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else, sir?
Nope. Is that the I feel complete language thing?
I don't know. I don't know what
Oh,
you
okay.
feel.
I heard that other guy say that, and I know that some people. Yeah.
See, that's other cultures doing things that my culture says that freaking bunch of wusses. Can I go, Walton?
You can go, Kraye.
Thank you.
Are you the host?
Every week for nearly 4 years now.
Oh wow, cool.
I'll take us off
Yeah.
the stream. And is there anything else you want to share while we're still live?
Nope. Thanks. I appreciate this. Unfortunately, I had to work and wasn't able to get in at the beginning, but cool. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll complete on here and then.